Before my stomach, voice, and laugh, my tear ducts were the first small parts of me I learned to hate. Sensitive was my prerequisite to be a gifted child, as my admission into private school stated, the first validation I experienced. I used to stretch my eyes before dusty mirrors, wishing I could rip the tear ducts out, always the cause of scream match fights for crying over things that don't matter, like the fear of being alone, of not being heard, of not understanding why sometimes I couldn't breathe, and always feeling there was something wrong with me. I was taught that sensitivity is mandatory when you are gifted or artistic. I am prone to cry over all the wrong things. The first time I understand the word trigger, I am lonely in a health class, my first morning class after being hospitalized for the 6th of 10 attempts. We are watching My Strange Addiction. A woman self-harms, uncensored. The teacher does not understand why I must leave the room. I am prone to cry over all the wrong things. I am sweating in Atlanta as poets personify a rape kit, yelling over and over lines that begin to blur sweet sweat and bitter tears for memories I am not yet ready to call rape. I am prone to cry over all the wrong things, prone to call the sweat tears. I exhale the worst oceans. My father apologizes more often these days for telling me never to cry when I was younger, as if the damage is not already done, like the apologies soothe the opening scars of my under eyelids, change the climate when he jokes I'm just pretending to like girls, when he asks me why I'm so concerned with labeling things as unimportant as my identity. I understand I am still crying over all the wrong things, and when you are cis, white, straight, able, and male, your identity gets to be bigger than that, so unimportant to claim when you are the loudest body in the room, the safest, coziest American whose history is proud enough to be all-encompassing, silent, no need to prove itself when it lies bare. My name is Ayla Sullivan, and I go to the University of Colorado at Boulder. I am a BFA performance major and a business management major. I do slam poetry because it's my favorite thing to do, and I've been doing it since I was about 13, and I kind of do a lot of performance art. I'm really focused on performance art, whether it's through theater, through slam, music. And it wasn't until I went to Denver School of the Arts in 7th grade that I fell in love with slam poetry. My language arts teacher showed us what slam poetry was, and I got obsessed, and I started writing and writing. But I didn't really continue with slam poetry seriously until my junior year of high school, when I met my best friend, and she told me that I needed to speak my truth, and so I started competing, and then I got on the Denver youth slam poetry team, and I've kind of just been in love with teaching and performing ever since.
My name is Seth Stiefel, and I'm a swing dance instructor. I teach a lot of different types of swing dance, from Lindy Hop to East Coast swing to Balboa, collegiate shag, all sorts of dances here. And I've been working here at the Mercury Cafe for 8 years, and dancing probably 18. So coming to the Merc all those years. My very first swing dance lesson that I ever took was here at the Mercury Cafe, and I was in school at the time back in Chicago. And so in Chicago, I had some friends. They wanted to visit Colorado, essentially for the slopes, right? They wanted to do some snowboarding. So they came out to snowboard, and then we had a free evening, and they found in the newspaper free swing dance lessons. And so they're like, let's check it out. So I came with them, and they ended up not liking it, but I loved it, and I did it, forever from that point on. I feel like there are a lot of different reasons that you can be attracted to the dance. One of the reasons that I was attracted to it was just seeing the energy of a room full of people just dancing, and it was like organized chaos, and I just wanted to be a part of that. And so the journey for me was just starting to take some classes, and then you go out to dances, and you can't sleep at night because you're thinking about the dances and everything that just happened, and you're trying to kind of make that better. And when I came back from Chicago, because I was dancing the entire time I was in school, I came back and started dancing here at the Merc Cafe all the time. And there was a couple named Dan and Tiffany, and they were doing swing dance lessons here. But then they also started up a team called 23 Skidoo, and so they invited me on the team, and and just one thing led to another. It was a competitive, but also performance dance team, and they were really, really driven just to be the best that they could be, and to kind of travel across the country and enter competitions. And so I was a part of that crew, and that kind of really pushed me forward too, just kind of the momentum that they had.
My first experience with the Merc actually was through Denver School of the Arts. We used to have this really fun night called the Thespian Cabaret, and it was at the Merc, and I performed there when I was 11 years old, and I sang on my own from Les Mis, and I was just very much in love with that space, and I didn't really know what it was. I always just thought it was something that the theater was able to have us go to, and it was kind of in my memory as something that we did theater fun cabarets at. And it wasn't until my junior year that my best friend told me, hey, they're having a slam and you do poetry in our creative writing club, so you should compete with me. And I won the first slam that I ever did at Merc, and ever since it's just been a beautiful community and place to really live and thrive and be honest in. Recently there was something called the New Shit Slam, and you had to write 15 poems before a deadline. So it was the first time I just only kept doing new poetry, and I did 3 new poems I'd never done before, and it's such a great community to get feedback from and perform very new, strange, vulnerable things.
Like life is a roller coaster, so there are happy moments, but then there are those valleys that we have to go through, and as swing dancing is such a happy dance, that it's very, very hard, especially with the music, with connecting with other people, to come out and then stay in the place where you feel whatever you're going through, and I've definitely had some moments in my life, that are dealt with depression in my life, and I think having that consistent space to I do a lot of tap dance, and that's been for me very therapeutic, where you just things aren't going the way you want, but then you tap out a rhythm, and the rhythm makes it better, and I don't know why, but it does.
I was 13 and I was fighting with my parents, and I didn't have the language yet to describe this angst and this deep sadness that was inside of me. And I was trying to use poetry in order to give voice to that. When you're 13 and you're dealing with mental illness, and you've never really been a part of a community that allows people of color to have mental illnesses, it's very easy to be angry and brute towards your family, towards everyone else. So when I think about that first poem, I think that's my first raw experience with writing and raw poem. But I know that now, using the language to describe what mental illness is, it should be coming from a place of love and forgiving other people. And sometimes it is angry, but anger is always coming from a place of passion too. And so I would, look at that 13-year-old and say, like, I hear your experience. And that's really all I wanted to hear when I was 13, is that I'm validated in being angry and hurt and sad.
To ask you the respect of giving it a name. Identity does not have